I'm Mark Hoke, and I've got to tell you about the incredible Family Soul Restaurant. They're the only soul food restaurant in Northwest Las Vegas, and simply put, they're the best in the city. Dan and his family have always treated me like I was a part of theirs every time we come in, and we never leave hungry. Start off with the amazing appetizers like their mac and cheese crab balls, crispy wings, and Dan's soul rolls. Then dive into Family Soul's dinners with homemade catfish, hot links, and fried chicken with all the amazing sides you could ever want, and finish it off with homemade peach cobbler and banana pudding. Plus, they're now open for breakfast Friday through Sunday, too. So head on over to Family Soul Restaurant right now at 2300 North Rainbow Boulevard, Suite 108, just off the Lake Mead and Cheyenne exits of I-95. Check them out at FamilySoulRestaurant.com or call 725-205-5085 for hours and their menu. Mention KDWN and get the People's Choice Special of catfish, yams, and greens for just $15.99. It's food for the soul and the family. Family Soul Restaurant.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. 1 full hour of wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's bring on the tag team of Andrew Fish Fain, Joe DeFalco, and your host, Mark Hoke.
Anybody feel like doing a press conference today? It's a little media scrum.
I did not get him fired. He has a checking account with his mom.
Oh, my dear Lord.
That's all I got.
This is the Mark Hoke Show, everybody. The #1 pro wrestling news and entertainment show in Las Vegas. I'm Mark Hoke. Andrew Fishfane is sitting across from me.
Throwing a chair at you and breaking down the studio door.
As long as you rescue my dog first, that's okay.
Of course.
And Joe DeFalco from Future Stars of Wrestling
who
is
tore
on
his
the line.
tricep.
Yeah, Joe, how's your tricep?
Triceps good. You know, I'm waiting for NFL football. Big day. Teaser day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, before
day at Sam's Town.
Before we get rolling, by the way, just want to mention real quick that, guys, go on. If you want to go to markhokeshow.com and click on our links for betonline.ag, because we're an affiliate there now. So, you know, if we actually get some of you making some bets down there, you support the show. We'd really appreciate it. So just go to markhokeshow.com. You get 50% matching bonus up to $1,000. You put in the code BOL1000. All right? Once you get there. But go to our link first at markhokeshow.com. But like betonline.ag, you can actually bet on wrestling, NFL, Major League Baseball, any sport you want. You can bet on darts, cricket, and you can even bet on who the next president of Brazil is going to be on this website.
CM Punk.
So
if you make the investment, you call 1-800-JOE-WINS. He'll give you for just $99.99 the hot tips in wrestling betting.
Yeah, there you
CM
go.
Punk.
So go to markhokeshow.com right now, and you're going to see it on the front page and the sponsor page. And, you know, bet on your NFL games and whatever else you want. It's all there. It's literally all there. Like cricket and all sorts of stuff. It's nuts. All right, so let's get into the pro wrestling news of the week, because, of course, when we last left you here on the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN,
All Out was all in.
All Out was going to be taking place. We'd already seen Clash at the Castle from WWE, and you know we were on this card, and honestly, I watched it, and you know we got to talk about what happened there first, because it was a great card. The wrestling was fantastic.
And I will say this: I think it's it's a very minor story that came out of it. But one of the things that, and I don't know why it bothered me so much, was hearing Tony Khan whining about the fact that he was the third wrestling show to be aired that weekend.
That was something. Yeah, there's a lot of press stuff afterward.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, well, he came up with a good idea, and somebody copied you.
Just stay in your lane, dude.
So, at All Out, what's usually the biggest card of the year for All Elite Wrestling, I don't want to run down the whole thing. There's a lot of matches, but
Too many.
Eddie Kingston had a great match on the pre-show with Tomohiro Ishii. Did you
Really?
see did you guys see Ishii's shoulder?
Yeah,
by the way?
there's 15 matches. You're going to talk about the pre-show?
Well, I'm running down through the card. Kingston chopped Ishii so bad that his shoulder was like the blood vessels were raised black. Good match. We had the casino ladder match where
Stokely Hathaway won.
Where a bunch of different wrestlers were in there, but the Joker came down in a black suit and a mask after Stokely Hathaway, the manager, and a bunch of his guys came down, cleared the ring, and Hathaway had climbed up the ladder, got the chip, which symbolizes who gets an AEW title match, and then the Joker came down, took the chip from him, and off he went, didn't take his mask off.
And that may have been one of the most expensive wins in history, because do you know how much money they had to spend to get the rights to play the Rolling Stones' "Sympathy for the Devil"?
They did.
As MGF as the Joker walks down.
Fish. Darn you!
Oh, like everyone doesn't know by now.
Well,
if you're listening to this
there
show,
are people that may not know out there.
If you're listening to this show, you're a wrestling fan. You know.
We got to paint the picture.
They're waiting for him to tell everybody who the Joker was.
Yeah.
Yeah, good Lord.
We had the finals of the AEW Trios Championship.
Meant nothing.
Which the Elite won. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking that down after Hangman Adam Page buckshot Larry to John Silver, his own teammate, to propel the Elite to their first AEW Trios Championship in the inaugural tournament.
And how long
We're
did that
all laughing
last?
about that because of what happened. Jade Cargo got a win. Cute little match with Wardlow, who was on the show last week. If you heard the podcast, you can go back at markhokeshow.com or markhokeshow.podbean.com and download those podcasts and hear that interview with Wardlow. But he and FTR had a cute little match with Dax Harwood's daughter coming out and getting a little pencil snap and all sorts of fun stuff. Fun match there. Fun match. Hobbs beat Starks. The match of the night, honest to God, was Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, beating the Acclaimed with pretty much everybody after that match screaming they should have called an audible because the Acclaimed are so ridiculously over. It is not even funny, but a terrific match for those guys. And because of the reaction to that match, they've got a rematch coming up at Arthur Ashe in a couple of weeks. Toni Storm won the interim AEW Women's Championship.
Big shock.
That we knew that was coming because she was planned to win the championship outright before Thunder Rosa came up with her injuries.
Injuries. Air quotes.
A little heat on her. Kristen Cage, and I know you were mad about this one, but there was a reason. There was a reason it happened.
They should have just canceled the match then.
Well,
exactly. It's like, wow, what a work that whole show was. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Cage. Jungle Boy came out and got attacked by Luchasaurus again, but he took a nasty spot on the pyro grill, by the way. Yeah. He looked like somebody threw him on a grill at a restaurant.
Isn't this the second Luchasaurus turn in like a month?
Well, they faked it, and now they brought it back because Cage is going to be out now. He also has a torn tricep.
Technically the third turn because it was like he was with Chris.
Yeah.
With Jungle Boy, then he wasn't with Jungle Boy, now he's back with Jungle Boy, so technically it's 3 turns.
Yeah, no, I got you. That's what I went. You are correct, sir.
But Cage gets a quick win on his way out.
Quick win was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was
what
quick.
A dumpster fire. Oof.
Chris Jericho beats Bryan Danielson.
Which
really good match.
That was, and that's the one outcome. I'm happy they did that because I love Jericho. I think he's probably one of the best workers today. With everything.
But it was great what happened because now Danielson can get his win back, just like Moxley wanted to get his win. At least get his win before he was losing.
Yeah.
So now they can do that with the Jericho Danielson too.
Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro beat the House of Black, of course, led by Malachi Black, who is apparently out the door at AEW for personal reasons.
Oh, he was blowing kisses to the crowd and
took
hugging
a bow
his people.
Afterward, so that we may have seen, at least for a while, the last of Malachi Black.
I think he canceled some shows this past for like the next weekend.
I think Aleister Black will be back.
Possibly.
Yeah. Hopefully his mental health issues will subside once Triple H is talking to him.
Exactly.
And then CM Punk in the main event defeats Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship.
That wasn't the main event.
Pretty good match. And then we go to what was the true main event of the night, which also I think is going to be a turning point for AEW in a good way. And we'll spin this in a little bit. So after
CM Punk and Cole Cabana are friends again, and they're going to team up with Ace Steel against the Elite.
Oh God, no!
For the new Trios Championship.
Well, that's something they could do. So anyway, so after the match is over, or the matches are over, we have the usual scrum that Tony Khan likes to do with all of the performers, and he is sitting with CM Punk, and Mr. Punk, unprompted, speaking to a reporter who was apparently friends with his buddy Cole Cabana, which, of course, there's been some recent controversy with some promos that were done because everybody thought that Punk tried to get Cabana fired from all of their stuff that happened years and years ago from the podcast lawsuit, and Punk goes off, going off on Cole Cabana, going off on the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, going off on
Adam Page,
Hangman Adam Page, MJF, even Tony Khan himself, as Tony Khan is sitting there watching this all go down. If you haven't seen it, go listen to it, because it is a profanity-laced, holy cow, did you just really do that kind of thing? So
work, huh?
I don't know if this was a work, because then we go back to the back. Punk is in the back. And apparently Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, after Punk made the invitation, he's been saying, if you have a problem with me, come see me. Well, they did. Not sure, because of different accounts, whether the door was actually kicked in or they were let in the room.
They got in the forbidden door?
Yeah, they got in that forbidden door because a brawl started between the three of them, CM Punk and Ace Steel. Matt Jackson apparently got punched by CM Punk, and we had a Ace Steel throwing a chair, hitting Nick Jackson in the eye. Ace Steel also apparently pulled Kenny Omega's hair and bit him. but
after Kenny Omega grabbed the dog and put him out of the harm's way, which was very nice to Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to Kenny Omega, who's an animal lover, because Punk's dog was in there.
Of the Young Bucks.
Yeah, Punk's dog was in there, and Ace Steel's wife was watching the dog. And before this brawl started, Kenny Omega actually took the dog and got him out of the room, and then gets bit by the human. Go figure. But
I got confirmation. Ace Steel's a dirty fighter, and he will bite you in a fight.
Nice. Well, he did. So, of course, everybody's wondering what's going to happen because of this.
Well,
so on Wednesday, Tony Khan is on AEW Dynamite and announces basically All Out didn't happen. CM Punk is no longer the AEW World Champion. That title has been vacated. The AEW Trios Championships were also vacated, as those five, plus Christopher Daniels, Michael Nakazawa, all were suspended indefinitely.
How is Punk not suspended?
No, he is. They're all suspended.
It was just the Omega's Young. It was never mentioned that Punk or Steel were suspended.
They are suspended.
No, I saw that Punk was, but then again, he was injured again anyway. So
yeah, all seven of them have been suspended, and the worst part for those guys was AEW's legal supervisor, who's also the Jacksonville Jaguars legal supervisor, was there apparently. So everybody's out for a while.
How is Cole Cabana not suspended? Everything started because of him.
Poor Cole.
That leads me to a question, and I told Mark I was going to ask you this, and I wanted to get to this because to me this is the crux of the matter. Apparently, CM Punk is the most universally hated person backstage right now in AEW. What do you do when one of your main guys, the guys you're paying the most money to, is that hated? Can you just get rid of him, which would obviously seem to be the best thing for business there? Or do you have to say, hey, guys, you got to figure out a way to work together?
That was for you, Joe.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a really touchy situation. In the contract, I'm going to assume that there's probably something in there for, the way CM Punk acted, that they can void the contract. If not, I guess they can get rid of him and then still pay him all his money if that's what they wanted to do, because is his contract guaranteed? I don't know. I would think it is. So, Tony Khan, he's got more money than everybody else. I mean, his father's got more money than everybody else. So, writing him off, for a few $1,000,000, I guess that's fine. But, I've seen things that make a lot of sense. Well, if they actually broke the door down and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega don't get fired, well, now it opens up the lawsuits from Ace Steel. From the new owners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Ace Steel and CM Punk.
And that's why everybody's suspended right now, because they are doing a full investigation on this thing.
By a third-party independent, apparently.
If we see the Jaguars move to Chicago and become the Chicago Jaguars, we know who won the lawsuit.
Wow, Joe DeFalco, everybody. Of course, this is the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM. I'm Mark Hoke, along with Andrew Fish, Fain and Joe DeFalco. We're discussing the fallout from All Out. I just said that. That sounded pretty good.
That should be the name of their next show, Fallout.
Fallout from All Out, yeah.
And some, of course, some other things have come out since that time. Of course, the Trios Championship that was vacated was won by Death Triangle that night. They didn't even screw around. They made the announcement these titles are vacant, and the next thing up, new Trios champions right away, and announce a World Championship tournament. 6 guys in this tournament, which is going to conclude at the big Arthur Ashe show.
What's it called? SummerSlam? Oh, wait, no, that's the WWE event.
No, it's the Grand Slam.
I know.
Funny. But we're down to 4 in that tournament right now, and we have the semifinals, which is going to be Danielson and Chris Jericho on one side of the bracket, Jon Moxley and Sammy Guevara on the other. The winners will face off at the AEW Grand Slam on September 21st.
So Moxley and Danielson.
Champion. That's a good possibility.
No, so Moxley and Danielson.
That's a good possibility.
No, that's what's going to happen.
Well, maybe they want to reward Sammy Guevara for dropping another person on their head. Who knows?
Yeah, because we had another. Yeah, poor Ruby Soho
busted her nose.
Took a broken nose in that match on the pre-show. So, yeah, in the mixed tag match.
So, like I said, Moxley and Danielson, huh?
It would appear to be headed that way, you would think. You would think. I would imagine Danielson's probably going to get his win back, as Joe said, over Chris Jericho. And Moxley's going to beat Guevara. But there's been a couple other things that have come out of this, too, that there was a talent meeting again led by Danielson, Moxley, and Jericho. So some of the mature people in the room, instead of the last talent meeting, stepped up in the room and said, look, we got to get this straightened out. And apparently there's kind of a sense of relief that CM Punk is gone. And of course, look, we all know the Bucks and those guys have a little bit of a reputation as being kind of jerks too. So my question out of all of this is AEW better off because all this stuff came to a head and everybody that seems to have attitude problems backstage just, took it hard here. They're out. They've lost their titles. Tony, who should have cracked down on this stuff a long time ago. I mean, this should have never gotten to where Punk did that promo on his own against Adam Page. But now, all of a sudden, everybody's tearing CM Punk apart. I mean, Bobby Fish, who's apparently left AEW, did an interview where he tore Punk apart. They had a match, and apparently Punk acted like a jerk. You're seeing all this stuff coming out about Punk and all the old promos from WWE. But, the Bucks and Omega were kind of, very cliquey back there, too. So is this a chance for them to have a locker room reset and maybe let some of these guys who are more experienced and more level-headed take charge of that locker room and run the show back there, guys? What do you think?
I'll let Joe answer first because I have a definite thought about it.
Well, the problem is it starts at the top, and the top is Tony Khan, and he's still there. So that's one of the main issues going on. It's like he's sitting right next to Punk. He allows it to happen. You know, the word in AEW is if you hang out with Tony Khan and you're part of the clique and you hang out after the show, drinking and partying with him, you're going to get the push. If you hang out with the Young Bucks, you're going to get the push. If you're in the right clique, you're going to get things that other people aren't. So, unfortunately, it's great that those guys are in that position. And having, obviously, a Jericho, a Danielson, well, they also had them before. And all this still got exposed with them there. And nobody stopped it then. Now, all of a sudden, they're the saviors. Well, why have we been hearing about it for 2 months? How come Moxley, Danielson, and Jericho didn't put a squash to it 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when we were hearing all the inner issues going on between them?
Fish, go ahead. I'll respond to that.
My thought is that it makes the company look ridiculous. It makes them look immature, unprofessional, and whether you like the WWE and Vince McMahon or not, you knew he was in charge, and this would never fly. This would never happen there because you knew he was going to put his foot down. Tony Khan is like the little kid who's so excited to be hanging out with all the big names and the big guys. He's almost starstruck. And Joe's right. If you're hanging out with Tony Khan, you get what you want. But Tony Khan is too immature and doesn't know beans about the business to be able to do what he's doing.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that as someone who's a business owner.
On the independent scene, you see it all the time, except now it's at the biggest, scene. It's a major company, and the guy who runs it is the biggest mark because he wants to hang out with the wrestlers and take pictures. And he's got Suzuki on the show, and he's got to hug him. He's got Cesaro. Let me hug him, like a little boy who got to go to the meet and greet.
Exactly.
But here's the question: at this point, does Tony Khan realize, you know what? Maybe I was doing some things wrong, and I think and I think you have to give him a fair shot at least to learn from all this, because I'm sure there's a lot of people sitting around saying to him, "Okay, look, dude, this is partially your fault." And if
it's all his fault.
Well, it's not all his fault.
Of course it is. He had absolutely no control. But it's total lack of institutional control. And no, you don't have to give him a pass. He's been doing it.
I'm not giving him a pass.
You are. You just said you got to back off. No, he's been doing it for 3 years. He needs to know by now. He's not going to change.
No, I'm talking about moving forward.
He's still going to be a little fanboy. No.
How do you know that though?
Because
that's something like this,
because that's who he is.
Because here's the thing: is that when you're growing as a business owner, you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna do things wrong. And obviously, at this when you have a situation like this, you have to see what's going to happen afterwards, because he's got to be looking around as a person who's in business, saying, "You know what? I screwed this up. I screwed this up." So either he's going to change it or he's not. But you got to see what the outcome is first before you just say he's not going to do it.
But you're giving him a pass on the fact that we heard about it 8 months ago, and it's just continually until it finally exploded. But there's stuff that could have been done 6 months ago that we were hearing that didn't get done.
And I totally agree he didn't do it.
And if he's going to change,
learn from this? Do you learn from this or not?
Because if he'd learned from it, the first thing he would have done was fired CM Punk immediately, because that's going to send the message immediately that this will not fly, and he still let it fly.
Well,
in the real world, a rich spoiled brat is always a rich spoiled brat, and he doesn't know any better. He's been handed the keys to the Maserati, to the Porsche. Here, son. Oh, you screwed up. Don't worry about it. Daddy's going to make it okay.
Well, we'll find out, because if he keeps letting the stuff go, he lets it go, and he's going to screw the company.
He already did.
He did, but the question, like I said, the question moving forward is after he drove the Maserati into, like just for example, my grandpa was a heavy drinker, drank, and finally ran his car into a telephone pole, and then after that he stopped drinking because he realized after all these years he was screwing up. Does Tony Khan make the adjustment? That's all I'm saying.
If he'd made the adjustment, like I said, CM Punk would have been fired.
But he didn't then. But will he now is the question.
It's 6 days later. He should have. The adjustment you make is, I see what happened now. He's got to be fired immediately.
But they've got to wait for that investigation to go
Why?
through. You've got a legal team in there. You don't know it.
He was sitting next to him at the press scrum. He did. That's what you fire him for. Nothing else. You don't have to fire him for anything else. What he said at the press scrum was enough to be a fireable offense.
Show how much respect CM Punk has for Tony Khan, as he did it right there with him in his face.
Yeah, it was pretty stupid. I agree. All right, hey, let's take a break. As you can see, this is pretty crazy. More on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM. Stick around. We'll be right back. When it comes to having the right attorney in your corner, you want to have a proven winner on your side. And Russell Dutch Boyd of VegasCounsel.com knows how to win in Las Vegas. Boyd graduated at 18 years old from law school and is also a 3-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner. And no matter what legal challenges you're facing, Boyd will help you through it all. As a litigation attorney, he covers multiple areas of law, including personal injury, business law and startup, cyber law, and crypto clients, and whatever else you might need to navigate the legal waters of Las Vegas and beyond. Just visit VegasCounsel.com to set up your free initial consultation today. That's VegasCounsel.com and let Dutch Boyd help you win today. Once again, that's Russell Boyd at VegasCounsel.com. Hi, this is Mark Hoke. Has out-of-control inflation, gas prices, and grocery costs wrecked your wallet? Then check into automated day trading with Trading Made Easy. Trading Made Easy has spent 5 years helping people put cash in their pockets with their simple-to-use day trading software. So if you're ready to leave that 9-to-5 job behind, visit TradingMadEasy.com or call 800-971-4160 to sign up for a free live training seminar right now. That's TradingMadEasy.com.
101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
We're still fighting in here. This is great.
Tony Khan is just a little... the only person who's a bigger mark for AEW than Tony Khan is you.
Stop it. Stop it.
You're giving.
I'm
you're,
looking at
you're
it
giving
from a
the.
business perspective.
No,
Hang
you're
on,
not.
hang on.
You're giving the company a pass.
Hang on a minute. I'm not giving anybody a pass.
You
This
are.
is the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM, Talk of Las Vegas. Man, I didn't expect we were going to have a war in here after the war at AEW.
That's because you're giving him a pass.
I'm not giving him a pass.
You said that the company's better for it, and it's ridiculous.
Does
Tony
he
Khan
learn
is a
from it or not?
No, he's a fanboy, and he doesn't care as long as he's hanging out with CM Punk. He's cool.
They have got to be
As the third guy, Fish sees you as the pro AEW guy, and they can do no wrong. And you see Fish as the WWE guy. That's why.
Probably.
No, I'm looking at it from a perspective of, does Tony Khan learn from this or not? And I know what Fish, I know what you're saying. He should have fired CM Punk. I get it, but there's a legal thing going on now.
Again, he should have fired everybody. What are you going to do? Is he going to fire everybody, or is he going to turn it into a wrestling angle? Should he have fired MJF because he wanted more money and he exposed it, and then they finally came to an agreement?
Yeah, and all
WWE have fired Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels for when they used to get into fights all the time. It happens.
No, I know. And the bigger issue to me, and this is what I mentioned to Mark, is the TV contract is coming up relatively soon. Warner Discovery, while they may like some of the publicity, may not like the attention that's going on or the reason it's happening.
It's funny. It's like they were so worried about bleeping out like some basic curse words. So are they okay with brawling amongst the wrestlers instead of saying a naughty word?
And all I'm saying is that Tony Khan is going to have to take a hard look at everything he's been doing. If he totally ignores this and keeps doing business like he's doing business, they are in major trouble.
But he did ignore it, and that's why it got to the point it got to. If he was a real boss, he would never have, as Joe said, he wouldn't have ignored it 6 months ago.
But he's also got to grow into this, too.
I got the perfect answer.
Oh,
Urban Meyer's making a lot of money from Jacksonville, make him the commissioner of AEW. And we're all set.
I agree. Perfect.
That'd be kind of fun. An interesting angle.
He seems to like wrestling, so you might as well pay him the $6 million a year.
Yeah, but he prefers the intergender wrestling.
Oh, Lord. You know, there is a person that could probably settle this dispute right now if he was here, by the way, and that's Dutch Boyd from VegasCouncil.com. Got to make sure we mention him. Business law, personal injury, crypto law, intellectual property, whatever you need, you can check out Dutch Boyd, and he'll give you a free consultation right now. Get over to Vegas Council, COUNSEL.com, and say hi to Dutch, and maybe he can settle all these fights. But it's VegasCouncil.com. Anyway.
He's not an AEW mark, so I think that he would.
I enjoy wrestling, period.
I told you, if Tony Khan had changed, he would have fired Punk on Monday, period.
I'm not talking about changing then. I'm talking about changing now. Now. After all this craziness.
But the craziness happened Sunday, so you fire him Monday and it's done.
But I don't think legally they can do that,
if you're paying out his contract, you can do whatever the hell you want with him.
I don't think that until the investigation about the fight's over, that they can do it.
I told you, you're not firing him for the fight.
You're not from a business.
You're not firing him for the fight. You're firing him for what he did at the press scrum. You were sitting right next to him. There's no investigation necessary.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm looking at it from a legal perspective. Would I have been tempted? I mean, I wouldn't have let Punk do that in the first place. There's no way. Even Tony, I watched that thing, and Tony almost stepped in and said something. He said something along the lines of, "Oh, we should have said no comment." And you should have stopped him. He should have stopped him.
That was the biggest.
There's no question about it.
Tony Khan was acting like the enabler, and he was making excuses for Punk.
And I agree wholeheartedly. He has been enabling CM Punk since he walked in the door over there, from the abortion shirts to the promo with Hangman Adam Page. He shouldn't. I mean, if I was running that company. Punk does not win the title at All Out. He does not win it because of the promo that he did off script with Hangman Adam Page. There's no way I let him win the title after that.
There's another technicality off script. AEW gives you the freedom to be yourself, and we don't have scripts. We don't have writers. We let you go out there and say what you feel. Well, I guess that backfired.
But Tony Khan is so enamored with CM Punk that he'll never allow. He's going to let the inmates run the asylum, and this is what happens.
Well, he did by hiring the Bucks and all those guys from the first place.
That is another issue. Don't sit there and tell me that the Bucks and Kenny Omega are innocent in all this. They ran Cody Rhodes out too.
When did you hear me say that?
I'm just stating fact here. Tony Khan, if he does not look at this situation and all this stuff that built up because he didn't keep control of this thing, you can let people. You know me, I love unscripted promos. I think people should be going off bullet points and doing their thing. But when they step out of line, you have to step in. And I think that I remember when Punk wore all the abortion shirts, somebody asked him about it, and whether you like abortion or you don't like abortion.
No one likes abortion.
You cannot allow that to go on your wrestling program. It's bad for business. We've talked about that. But Tony Khan said, I want to let my performers express themselves. But there's a point where that has to stop because it's not good for business.
I don't even think it's about it. He likes to perform. I think he's just afraid to get CM Punk upset because he is so enamored. And it's not just Punk, but right now that's the guy that we're talking about.
But CM Punk's a guy you don't like what you're doing. He's just going to leave. He doesn't care. He isn't worried about the money. How many years did it take for him to come back? He finally got into a situation where, okay, this guy's going to let me do whatever I want. And he probably said, come on in, Phil, do whatever you want. We just want you in here. You're gonna turn things around for us. And he said, okay, give me this, that, and the other thing, and I'm going to do whatever I want. Okay.
Part of me also thinks
he made the major coup. He got CM Punk back to wrestling where nobody else could.
I know, but looking back at it, part of me thinks that it was, and it wasn't. I don't think it was a master plan, but it's almost like AEW got played in a way by the WWE because I think that Tony Khan thought I have to get CM Punk, and that'll show the WWE. Meanwhile, WWE wouldn't even want Punk back now if Punk asked to come back there.
Probably not. I think that everybody that's running that, and I think when Tony made some changes and put in a bunch of new people around him in terms of talent relations and things like that, he's starting to see, hopefully, that the way he was doing things at the beginning isn't going to work now that the company has grown, now that you've got bigger names and so on. And, but he made the mistake and kept going like he was in some areas, and it was too late. So now
I don't think
he either fixes it or he doesn't.
I don't
that's
think
all
Tony,
I'm saying.
I don't think Tony Khan changes at all from this. And the proof of that, again, the big story was everything that happened at the media scrum, and all Tony Khan had to say was, "I can't believe the WWE had a wrestling event the same day I did,"
and that was stupid too. I think he's got there are a lot of good people around him in that company, and hopefully,
not one of them smart enough or brave enough to say something to him to tell him to shut up.
Well, it's sometimes
I told him to shut up numerous times, but I don't know.
It's sometimes it's like it's like a drug addict or an alcoholic. Until something really bad happens, they don't listen.
And the problem is even then.
Does he look at it as bad? Ratings were up 4%. So what are we doing wrong? We got more eyes on our product after this whole issue happened. Why is it so bad? It's wrestling. Bad publicity is better than no publicity.
Welcome to the wrestling.
Everybody's
business.
got it. He can justify that everything that happened has actually helped his business, unless the television company says, "Hey, bro, if this stuff keeps going down, we're going to pull you." Then maybe that's what's going to, what you say with the drug addict and alcoholic, he's got to be woken up to something and make him want to change. Mm-hmm. And if he sees things are going and he's like, "Oh, look at that, man, ratings went up again," unless he gets shut down by Daddy, which Daddy's, the television station, then maybe that's the wake-up call. But until then, I guarantee you he's still partying, he's still hanging out, he's still doing what he's doing.
Yep, we're going to find out. It is a crossroads moment for all elite wrestling, that is for sure.
Yeah, and, part of me hopes that they don't blow it, because they do have a chance to do something here. But to me, Tony Khan is an absolute moron. So I don't think they had that shot because they have the wrong guy in charge.
Well, and one of the things that I think that when you have, you've got guys that have been there for like Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross and so on, there's a lot of experienced people around him. And maybe this is the chance for them to say, "Hey, look, if you want to avoid this from happening again, this is what you need to do." Maybe he'll listen, maybe he won't. If he doesn't, I think he's a fool. He has to look at all this and say, "Man, we can't have this happen again." So, but on the other side, Joe, Joe, you're right too. But the ratings actually, by the way, just so you know, on Dynamite, we're up to like 1.2 at the start, and then it actually tailed down to about 880,000 by the end of the show, which was kind of weird. But
I guess people want to see.
The thing is, ratings. CM Punk hasn't been the ratings bonanza, and it's like you got to also remember CM Punk, but then they brought in Danielson, they brought in all those guys. So they're that niche company. They're not going to get, it was like when TNA got to 1 million, they were still getting slaughtered by WWE. And they were like, well, it's costing us $60 million to get an extra, 150,000 viewers. Is it really worth it?
Yeah, it's an intriguing situation. I like it. This is the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN. 101.5 FM, 720 AM. We are the talk of Las Vegas, the top pro wrestling show. Universe? Cosmos?
Now, the only analogy I can make to anything that's happened WWE-wise was, and it just came to mind, was like the plane ride from hell. And what was the fallout from that? People were fired. I can't remember who was fired. I'm not trying to be...
Scott Hall got fired. Kurt Hennig got fired.
Low-end guys, they didn't fire Ric Flair. They didn't fire Scott Hall.
They did fire Hall.
They fired
Hall got fired.
Kurt Hennig.
Hall did get fired.
They did fire Scott Hall. So the point being, and that's the difference, Vince McMahon immediately said, "I'm not putting up with this baloney."
Yeah, so
right, but they didn't fire Brock Lesnar. They didn't fire Ric Flair.
No,
if you're a main event player, you try to figure out, a way to keep them.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar is always insulated.
A mid-level guy. The problem there is, Ace Steel. He's the first guy who's done. He's an authority figure. But then you look at the Young Bucks. They're supposed to be authority figures too.
And that's why you probably shouldn't have the wrestlers in that position.
Well,
in a company like
that's
this.
That's another time for another story, because putting them there was what got everybody who wanted to get on board in the beginning. But sometimes you have to adjust midstream.
Yep.
Yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes, it is.
And if Tony Khan wants to pay me $1.4 million a year, I'll come in there and I'll turn everything around for him.
If he wants to pay me $1.2 million, I'll come in there and turn everything around for him.
I'll do it for a Big Mac. No, not for a Big Mac. Not a chance. But
nah, you don't. You need to get paid to deal with them. On my level, it's like, geez, I need to get paid. This is ridiculous dealing with these people. And these are low end guys who think, I could just imagine the egos, because we have these low end guys who have never made anything in this business, and they're like in their upstart, and 95% of them will never eclipse being a decent indie wrestler, and the egos are through the roof. Imagine guys who are now, people that have sold out, 25,000 seat arenas and worked Tokyo Dome, say, and sold them out, which is guys like Omega and the Bucks and things like that. If you get rid of those early guys, the Young Bucks and Adam Page and Omega, now you're just WWE cast-offs.
Yeah, I was going to say, guys who have sold out who've headlined WrestleMania. Oh, wait, no, Punk never did that, did he?
Oh.
I love how they say that. Well, he never main evented WrestleMania. Well, he was a marquee match in WrestleMania.
Yes,
so
I know. No, but and the point is, you're absolutely right, because you got to, it's not saying that Punk doesn't deserve to have ego, because he has done that. He has helped build the wrestling industry back when he was, Summer of Punk 2011, 2012. Same with all of those guys, but at the same time, you still have to listen to the boss. The problem is the boss is a wuss. Vince McMahon, like him or hate him, was a hard ass, and you weren't allowed. You couldn't cross the boss.
See, if it were me, and I would, if I was sitting in front of Tony Khan right now, I would say, dude, I know you love this stuff, but you need to separate and put somebody in charge in between you and the gang. That's what I would tell him.
Right? Didn't he just give Shivani and QT Marshall and Sanjay Dutt, and he gave all these guys new positions to deal with the talent, and Tony Schiavone, things are going to change. And 4 weeks later, they've had the biggest implosion they've ever had.
Well, I'm saying more of you own the company, but you're more of a figurehead, and you have someone else there running the show.
Unless he plans on becoming a Mr. McMahon character, Tony Khan needs to back away from TV, back away from it all, and just be the guy that's financing
Why
it.
does he need to be a Mr. McMahon character when you have Mr. McMahon a free agent?
Bring him in.
It's a very good point.
Sign Vince. Oh, dear Lord.
Everybody just said when Vince McMahon was there, you knew who the boss was. You bring in Vince McMahon as the underling to Tony Khan. Oh.
Could you imagine that?
That's the whole gigantic work for Vince McMahon to come back. It's all the work.
No chance in hell.
And then no chance in hell. Very nicely done.
Thank you. But a couple other things we've beaten that horse down, but I got to mention the return of MJF. Did you know, like on betonline.ag, there's actually a betting odds up there. MJF to win world championship before end of 2022. The betting odds are up on this, believe it or not. Yes is minus 300. No is plus 200.
I'm just waiting for him to come back. I'm excited. I can't wait for MJF to come back. When's it happening?
Right after Dominic's heel turn.
Stop it. Stop it. Minus $5 in the jar there, buddy. But MJF has returned, had a real interesting promo there to kick things off.
It was a great promo, and I will admit, I was okay. Maybe he is turning face because everyone's so thrilled to see him back. He was getting cheered, and then he just turned it the way he should.
Yes, he did. He is something else. And I thought Moxley's promo
was brilliant too, because it was actually about the championship.
Yeah, I and the company, a veiled statement about what's going on in AEW, but MJF's return. I know, Fish, you were worried that he didn't have the momentum, and, well, guess what?
He got it back.
Because he's the man. That's the point. He is something special.
He's awesome. The way he put over WWE. It's a great company.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do anything. Like, they didn't even have to pay for that commercial.
Yeah, he goes, the only con I want to work for is Jolly St. Nick.
It was crazy. But you guys excited about MJF being back in the fold here? And does he win the world championship before the end of the year?
Not sure about that, but it all depends on how they use him. And,
Everything's been him to go after CM Punk. Now it's going to be like, oh, okay, now we're going to have to build this storyline where he goes after
Danielson.
Moxley?
No, Danielson, because Danielson's winning the title.
Oh, okay.
It's a distinct possibility.
No, Danielson's. You're not going to put it back on Moxley for a third time.
Why not?
Because they're not going to, because that would make no sense for them to do that right now.
Why would it not make sense?
Well, either way, they just got to find a good ex-WWE guy to put it on. That way they can have all the titles.
Give it to Miro.
There's a lot of guys that could be AEW champion. But I don't know if he'll make it by the end of the year, though.
No, that's
pretty quick.
What's their next big pay-per-view?
That would be Revolution in early November.
That would be the only chance he would really have to win it.
Is that a big pay-per-view? Isn't it like All Out and Double or Nothing? Basically, they're only real big deals unless they do it at the Arthur Ashe Stadium again on a Dynamite.
Which is in 2 weeks. Which is as Grand Slam on a Dynamite.
Yeah, but they do 4 pay-per-views a year.
Well,
so.
Whenever Full Gear is, I guess my kid says the other big one.
Yeah, Revolution. It's Revolution, then Full Gear, and then it comes back to all.
Double or Nothing and
Double or Nothing, All Out, and they cycle through that way. So, yeah, but this is going to be fun. And then, but the other one I mentioned real quick before we get to the bottom of the hour was the Acclaimed. I know Fish, you had said they're not ready, but it sure as hell looks like they're ready to me after that match.
Did they win?
No, they did not.
Did they win? Then I was right.
They're going to go the route of the Street Profits. They're going to get really close.
Well,
good effort.
I thought it was interesting that those betting odds were up, and they actually still have Swerve My Glory as the betting favorites to win that match at Grand Slam in a couple of weeks. But, man, I'll tell you what. And I wanted to ask that, Joe, because so many people were saying about that match, do you call the audible? Because of the way the crowd was going nuts every time there was a 2 count. They wanted the Acclaim to win that match. Is calling it audible in a match something that's common, and is it a good idea to do it?
No, it's definitely not common, and it's rarely used. And it's like, but weren't we saying that 3 months ago when the Street Profits were wrestling the Usos? Like, oh, they should pull the trigger. They're over. Oh, okay, they're going to have another match. Oh, that's when they're going to get it. And I remember years ago we had the Suburban Commandos, Reno Scum. They were the challengers, the Scum. They had won the belt a couple times. And we did a 2 out of 3 falls match, and I was being cute. I was like, oh, we're going to make this work. We're going to have the Scum win the first fall by DQ. And because I seen it on, Saturday Night Main Events years ago, and that's how the Killer Bees, they beat the Hart Foundation by DQ in the first fall, and they pinned them in the second. Crowd went crazy. The Killer Bees, they win the tag titles.
Beat Brian Blair.
Wait, they don't win the tag titles because the first fall was a DQ. And we did that with the Commandos, where they got DQ'd the first fall and then immediately lost the second. The crowd went crazy and was like, oh, as a revolt of disqualification. And then we ended up having like a ladder match the next big show, and the crowd just was just like, oh, okay. And they should have won it the time before. And sometimes that's the mistake that's made. And the thing is, they were so geared up for them to win then, and then they lose, just like the Street Profits, that when they had the rematch, the heat wasn't there. They lost. They lose the moment.
Yeah, because it's not as natural.
I've said on numerous occasions, man, I wish we would have changed up the finish to the match because of the way the crowd was going crazy for, in most cases, the babyface team. Usually it is against the heel team, and it never really it never really happens. And now you sit there, and as over as they were, if they pull the trigger, now it's almost like, oh, now they expect it, and then when it doesn't happen, then they're even more deflated. And when it does happen, they expected it anyway, so they'll never get the reaction they would have gotten if they would have won the match the last time.
Now you've made me very sad, though, because Jumpin' Jim Brunzell and B. Brian Blair never won the tag team titles.
No,
never. Can you believe that was a bigger misjustice than Ted DiBiase never being the heavyweight champion?
Ain't that the truth?
Well, we could talk about all those all day long. Well, of course, this is the Mark Hoke Show on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM. We are going to be headed to break here shortly, but got to mention real quick, hey, we've got another gift certificate to give away from Unique Eats from Chef Dominic and the gang over at Unique Eats on 3100 South Durango, Suite 100 here in Las Vegas. And of course, you can call them at 702-992-3038 or visit at uniqueeatslv.com. Caller number 5 is going to win a gift certificate right now. So start calling at 702-257-5396, 702-257-5396, and you can get a $25 gift certificate from Unique Eats here in Las Vegas. Stick around. We're going to have more on the Mark Hoke Show in just a little bit after the break. We'll be right back. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.